All right, guys, in this video, let's talk about the most effective strategy that I have found with people to eliminate or reduce GERD, reflux, heartburn, whatever it is you want to call it. This is really the crux of it. Until you address this, your problem is most likely not going to go away. And by the way, drugs and supplements are not going to be on this list because they're all band-aids. They're not addressing the root cause. So what is the root cause? What can you do? Well, first and foremost, it's you have to address your stress levels. Well, I don't have a lot of lifestyle stress. It can be all sorts of stressors. It could be not getting enough sunlight. It could be your circadian rhythm, poor sleep, poor diet. Poor diet can also mean extreme diets, keto, carnivore, some of these things that people struggle with. So stressors can mean a whole different slew of things. But I want you in this video to understand what's happening in your body, why it's the root cause of your GERD, of your reflux, and why, if you address this, your symptoms are going to begin to improve, and why some cases, supplements, drugs are counterproductive to helping this. So let's talk about what we mean here. First of all, there are metabolic and microbiome cascades that happen when you introduce any sort of stressor. Well, what does that mean? Well, let's look at your GI tract. Let's say you have a stressor in your life. Okay. When that stress pops up, you will see a decrease in stomach acid. Well, what does that mean? I want a decrease in stomach acid because that's why I have GERD. That's the opposite way of how we need to think about it. You want healthy levels of stomach acid, which means you want a low pH level in your stomach. You want it acidic. Well, why do you want it acidic? You have to digest food. You have to absorb nutrients. You have to defend yourself against pathogens. That's your GI tract's first line of defense against those things. So it's very beneficial. But when you introduce stress, that stomach acid goes down, meaning the pH goes up. As the pH goes up, we introduce some of those problems we talked about, inability to digest nutrients. You can get deficiencies, gas, bloating, those sorts of things. Okay. The other thing is as that pH of the stomach goes up, you're going to see a decreased function and release of enzymes in the small intestine and enzymes from your pancreas, these digestive enzymes. So this stress is what kicks off this cascade. So we have to address this. You want healthy stomach acid levels. This is why people will ask me about PPIs, proton pump inhibitors, H2 blockers, the Pepcids and the omeprazoles of the world. Now, I've done other videos, but they're counterproductive because all they're doing is knocking down stomach acid, which is not what we want. Well, what about probiotics? Well, I'll touch on probiotics and let me talk about something here really quick. Okay, so the other thing that happens, we've talked about the metabolic and the microbiome cascades that can happen when you have stress. The other thing, as you have stress, it can affect your nervous system by increasing things like glutamate. The other thing that can also increase glutamate is certain probiotics. Okay? It's really not going to address the root cause. I know people like to think that, but probiotics, in my experience, are fairly overrated. Okay. The other thing you want to think about is as those nervous system stressors come up from the stress levels, we're going to see a decrease in your immune system function. Okay, we already talked about some of these things that stress can kick off in this end, and now you're going to have a decrease in your immune system, more pathogens that can take hold, those sorts of things. So again, the most effective strategy that you can implement to address reflux, to address SIBO, to address bloating and some of these things we see is you have to address your stress levels. Now, again, that's going to vary per person. Okay. For me, it was how I was eating, which had a direct reflect on the sleep I was getting, on my thyroid, those sorts of things. So once I addressed how I was eating and how I was living, other things began to improve. The only time I've gotten GERD or reflux in the last year that I can remember that was significant was in the last month or so while I was going through moving my whole house to another state. So it was a very stressful time. That was a stressor for me. Now that that's over, no more issues. I very, very seldom have any sort of issues with reflux. The people that take this to heart find the same kind of thing, but it takes time, it takes patience, and it takes you identifying what those triggers are in your life. So let me know in the comments other topics that would be helpful for me to cover. If you want to learn about other natural therapies I personally use and recommend, that I've seen clients have really good results with, go grab your free checklist at my website. Link is in the description. I'll get that over to you. It's free, and I think you're going to get a lot of value from it. So hope you got value from the video, guys. See you in the next one.